We've mentioned many times in our videos and in trainings that before we decide to embody, we choose certain situations that we want to experience and go through. But once we get here, we forget all about that. So how do we know what it is that we chose here to come and do and what we chose to go through? Well, stay tuned and we'll go through all of it with you. Life lessons. This is part 1 of 3, so be sure to pay attention to the next 2. Before we're born, we get to choose what lessons we want to learn. So how come we don't remember them? Honey?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you care to explain how that's possible, that we can choose the lessons we want to learn, but then when we're born, we don't remember these lessons?
Now, some people do remember them, by the way.
Okay.
They remember parts of them. For example, kids up to a certain age, say up to about age 5 or 7, they actually remember some of their past lives. And then once they hit that magical number 5, 7, then they don't remember, it starts to fade. I don't know why that is. They probably come and inject them or something. Anyway, so why do we, well, here's the process, right? So we're up there in heaven, and then we're shown, okay, these are your past lives. I don't know how many they show, but they show the ones that you need to work on, right? These are the past lives that you had, and these are the lessons that you still need to correct, as in karma, we say balancing karma. And they ask you, well, so what do you want to go work on this time? And so you decide what you're going to work on. We call those the life lessons, right? Because whatever you're going to work on, it's going to be a lesson for you. It's something you're going to learn, balance that karma, you're done. So in order to help us, we're passed through what is called a veil of forgetfulness. Meaning, the whole process of how you chose what you chose just got deleted from your memory. And that's for our protection. Because imagine coming to Earth, or wherever you're going to go, wherever you're going to embody, and all of a sudden, you're sitting down and then you see yourself, and you're in the Stone Age, wearing like this tiger
Skin,
right? I mean, how would you feel if you saw that? To make this quick, we're kind of recording here.
Well, if I'm seeing all my past lives and I come and I'm born, I'd probably be wondering why I was here again. If I already know the lesson I have to go through, why don't I just get it done? I don't know.
How do you even know it's a lesson, though? That's the thing.
Well, if I'm remembering everything and
got it. But here's the thing. To me, I'm the opposite. I'd be like, to me that can be confusing. I mean, if you see yourself shooting somebody, or you're a terrorist at one point, that could be traumatizing to somebody.
Okay.
Right? And so for a physical, you have to remember you're in a physical form now. So it's not your spiritual form, you're in a physical form where emotions and everything else kick in. When those kick in, you could get a lot of negative emotions going.
Got it.
Really mess somebody up. That's why it's removed from our memory, so that we can, just like you said, we can start fresh and not remember any of that. And then as we get closer to a higher self, we start to build that reception. Things are released to us when our spiritual team knows that we can handle it. You may get something in a dream, right? Or you may go through what we now call our life perspective session. And then you learn something like, oh, but now you know why you're going through that. Because you understand it's for a lesson. Make sense?
Got it.
So that's why, if you're wondering, why don't I remember why I'm here? That's why. But build your reception up. 190 Vision helps with that, with the trainings that we give. And then all of a sudden you start to realize, here's one thing I know I'm working on, or here's another thing I'm working on. Does that help a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, so now we move on, right? What's your next question?
Well, what's the first lesson?
Well, see, it's not like they're numbered like the Ten Commandments.
What's the first one we're going to discuss?
Okay, the first one on our list. Well, that doesn't mean that it's I don't think that they have priorities. I don't think up there the comic board says, well, this one is lesson number 1.
That everyone has to go through. Exactly. It's not like in school.
That's correct. I don't think that's the way it works.
It's just based on what you've done in your life.
It's just a list, and it could be in any order. But for us, because there has to be an order for the physical mind to follow, we have this list. Now, there'll be 5 life lessons we'll go through on each video, right? Because there are a total of 15 of them.
Yes.
So here are the first 5. And keep in mind that this life lesson just kind of tells you how you can identify what you're here to work on. And that's the whole purpose of these videos. So the first one is abundance.
Okay.
So if how would you know that you're here to work on a life lesson of abundance, if you were to think about that?
It might be because you are always focused on what you don't have.
Okay. And what does
Which
that
would
mean?
mean that, well, if you have abundance already in your life, that means that you have more than you require. So if you find yourself saying, oh, well, I don't have this, well, I can't do this because I don't have that, then you're focused more on the lack, instead of focused on, I have all of these things already, let me share them and pass them out. So it's opposite of abundance. It's
So
lack.
how would you know that you're here to work? Because you have me confused.
Oh, okay. Well, how would you know you're here to work on it? It could be that food is what's coming to mind.
Okay.
You think you never have enough to eat. I don't
Okay.
have enough food to put on the table for my family.
All right.
We only have enough food for dinner today.
Okay, so what you're saying is you're focused on not having.
Right.
And that's how you know that what you're supposed to be learning is how to enjoy abundance.
Right.
Got it.
Right.
Because normally, whatever your life lesson is going to be a challenge for you in this lifetime.
Exactly.
Is the point, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So here you are, like you talked about food, but it could be if someone says, I never have enough time to do anything. I don't have time for myself. I go to work, I come back, I don't have time for this. It's still abundance that you're working on, aren't you?
Right. You're working on having an abundance of time.
Exactly. And that's why I pointed that out, because people might be thinking when they hear the word abundance, it's about money, like financial. That could also be another one, though.
That could be.
Because if you're afraid, oh, I can't afford this, or I can't afford that, or we don't have enough money. If you're always talking about you don't have enough money, or you can't afford something, what are you focusing on?
That's focused on lack.
Which pretty much tells you that your life lesson, one of your life lessons is what?
Abundance.
Abundance. Now I said one of your life lessons, because imagine there are 15 items here, and there are a whole lot more. They're individuals that probably chose more than 5 to work on in one lifetime.
Yes.
Don't look at me, because I would not do that.
No, I think I did.
I'm not brave enough to do that. Because imagine you have 5 different life lessons going on at the same time. Ooh, that's a lot for somebody to handle.
Some of us are just overachievers.
Well, I hope you know that you remember that you're the one that chose it, right? So anyway, so that's what I mentioned, just one, right?
Okay, so then how do you change that?
How do you change what?
If you're always thinking about what you don't have, you want to
Okay.
have the abundance in your life, how do you change it?
Well, that's a life lesson, right? That you're supposed to have abundance. No, so we talked about abundance of time, abundance of material things, abundance of money,
Right.
but how about abundance in relationships,
Yes, someone who's always lonely. I never have any friends.
right?
Never have anyone to talk to. So that's a lack.
A lack.
Instead of saying, I have all the friends I could ever need.
Or plants, like my wife. Every time
Yes.
she plants something, it dies. That's a lack.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
I still see them dying, so I don't know. But that's a lack of something. I don't know what that is. But
No, I have an abundance of plants now. Now we're working on, I have an abundance of fruits coming from these plants.
oh, that's it. Okay. As far as I'm concerned,
As far as
they
he's
don't have
concerned,
fruits.
they're not bearing anything, so they're dead. That's not the case. They're all beautiful and lovely, and now we're going to reap a wonderful harvest.
The lack when it comes to the fruits, I guess. But all that has to do with lack, right? When you start, anytime you start thinking about, I don't have enough of this. Like my mom used to say, she said, oh, we don't have food in the house. I'm like, what? Ma, there's food in the refrigerator. There's food. And she's like, we don't have food, and it's food that she wants to eat.
Right.
It has nothing to do with not having food. So that's another example of lesson of abundance.
And boy, I did that growing up. Mom, there's no food in the house. What do you mean? I just went to the grocery store. There's nothing to eat here. So I was creating that myself as a kid.
Okay.
You know?
Wow.
Oh, life lesson at that age. Oh!
So what do? How do you switch that now to, okay, I have abundance, right? I'm enjoying abundance. And you literally see it. You're not just imagining it, it's there. Well, just like how you focus on lack, if you keep focusing on what you don't have, what's going to happen?
You still won't have it.
Right. We've talked about the book As a Man Thinketh, right? You've heard about the law of attraction. We talk about frequencies.
We talk about co-creating.
Co-creating, right? Well, if you're going to co-create, then you have to co-create on what you want. You know, law of karma, you put out, you get what you put out. So if you want abundance, then what do?
Start being grateful for what you have.
Exactly.
Thank God I have this.
Enjoy it. You know, but as I said, for example, me, about the fruits, the trees. I said, well, that's not, get rid of that tree. It's not doing anything. See, that's not gratitude. While you're saying, oh, it's going to bear fruit soon. Okay, see, that's more
right.
abundance. That's how you get the abundance. Me, I'll still be buying fruits from the store because I don't have the mentality of these trees will produce fruits.
Yes.
Okay? Don't live in the past.
Exactly.
And that's the point. You have to now focus on what it is that you want, not what you don't want. So if you want abundance, enjoy what you have. Make use of what you have. If you have just noodles in the house, you don't go, oh, I just have noodles, so I can't have steak. Well, that's obvious. You don't have the steak in the house. So what do? Well, let's see what we can cook with these noodles and we can really enjoy. See the difference?
Right.
And that's how the abundance, the frequency of abundance starts coming into your life. And all of a sudden, more and more, you'll start to manifest things because you are changing it. You're not focusing on what you don't have. You're not wishing for anything. You're using what you have.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
So, next on the list is abuse. And we're talking about any kind of abuse. When you hear abuse, what do you think?
I think of kids who are born into families and they're abused in different ways, verbally, physically, they're abused. Okay. But then I also think, wait, there are individuals who have wonderful families, but when they go off on their own as an adult, all of a sudden they get into these abusive relationships. Or there's an abusive situation on the job. It could be anything, anywhere. You know, maybe it's a bullying or abuse in school from fellow students. So there's so many different types of abuse, and it's very, very common. I think that, yes.
Abuse is one of the hardest ones to get over, by the way, that life lesson. And that's because it's so emotionally charged.
Oh, yes. A lot of anger and hatred.
That's correct.
Resentment. And then on top of it, even with yourself, you start to doubt yourself and you start to think you're not good enough and
what you
you're
could
not
have
worthy.
done wrong. Maybe
Yes.
you did something wrong.
Always,
to cause it,
yes.
Right? And so it's one of the hardest ones, really,
Right.
that life lesson. So anyone that was brave enough to choose that as a life lesson in this lifetime, I'll say, and I don't know what it means, but I think it means something good. Kudos to you.
Yes.
That means something good? Okay.
That means something good.
I'll say kudos to you because I'd probably have a breakdown.
Best if you just say applause to you.
Applause. That's what it means.
Yeah, pretty much
Applause,
celebrating
right?
them for that decision.
Right, because that's tough. So now
It is.
I know that we've dealt with individuals who were abused as kids, right? Sexually abused, physically abused.
Right.
I know of individuals, and I know a few that pretty much were locked up in tight spaces, you know, because their parents were on drugs and things like that.
Right.
So then they carried that for many years as adults. You know, and it took them a very long time to get over it. Thank God they finally got over it, you know, with the help of one division. I know some individuals that were in therapy or counseling for over 30 years because of those traumatic experiences.
Right.
And after working with one division for a few years, not months,
Right.
for a few years, they finally got over those things. So I know it's really hard to get over.
So how do you get over it though?
It's about forgiveness, which is easier said than done, right?
Yes, it is.
Now, you could talk about that a little bit as far as how do we help individuals with forgiveness in one night division?
Well, we start helping them with changing their perspective. Sometimes we are given tools for them to use, maybe a prayer to say. There are different ways of getting it accomplished. It all depends on the individual and what they went through and how much they're holding on to.
And how we're guided.
Yes, how we're guided to help them to let it go.
You're making it sound like we're counselors and we're not.
We're not counselors.
We're
No.
only counseling sessions.
No.
But we have tools that are given to the individual as we're guided to give to them.
Right.
And with those tools, if they apply them consistently, we start to see changes occur.
But it also takes them really working on understanding that they chose to come here and experience that, and also changing their perspective on the situation.
Well, that's all part of where the tools come in,
Right.
So, but that's how it works. It's via forgiveness, which is not easy, right? It's not easy at all. So now we go to the next one: addiction.
Woo, addiction. There's so many kinds of addiction. And then there are babies who are born with addiction, drug addiction, or the mother was an alcohol addiction.
Okay, if they're born that way, what do you think happened?
That they chose to have that as something that they're very brave to be born with that, because that means that it's going to constantly be there in their life.
Right.
That craving for that addiction, whatever that addiction is.
Exactly. Again, people might look at that and say, "Oh, that poor soul, or that poor kid, or poor baby." They chose that, and that shows you how brave and strong that soul is. I mean, these are not easy decisions to make. You know, abuse. And, none of them are easy, but when I think about abuse and addiction, holy mackerel, and there are more. They're not easy. You know, so these individuals might look at themselves and say, you know, what's wrong with me? I hope that this video will help them to understand that there's nothing wrong with them.
Right.
That it's their strength that got them here. They know how strong they are, and they know that they can handle these situations. That's why they chose to do it in this embodiment. You know, but with the addiction, of course, it can be hereditary, but then again, that's because they chose to be in that family line. They know that it's hereditary, so not a surprise.
Right.
They're ready for it. So how do you deal with that? They should remember that life is about moderation. It's about balance. You know, learning not to go to the extremes. Because the only reason why it becomes an addiction is because they went to the extreme. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with drinking one glass of wine according to normal society.
Right.
According to the Ascended Masters, we shouldn't consume any alcohol, so I want to make that clear. But in normal society, in Italy, you start drinking from when you're a baby, probably in a baby bottle. France, probably the same thing. They don't give them milk; they just give them some wine. I'm just making that
Or
up.
vodka in Russia.
Right, vodka in Russia. But in moderation, it's good because it's balanced. It's like what Gautama Buddha said, right? Walk the middle way. You don't want to go to the extremes. And once they realize that, and they live their lives with that motto of, okay, I'm going to do everything in moderation, they'll start to realize that, okay, this addiction is becoming controlled. We can also help them with that.
Right.
You know, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, well, yes, sure. Through One Nine Division, you request help and it will be given to you. That's part of the addiction. You have to request the help.
That's right.
They like to just try and handle everything on their own. Oh, I can do it. I can handle this by myself. But request the help and our team will get to work to help you.
Right, and that is true. That the biggest challenge with addiction, you're right, is that the individuals normally believe that it's not a big deal and it's controllable. They can handle it on
Right.
their own. And so it goes on for a long time because of that. But the moment they ask for help, then the physical aspect, the spiritual aspect, the emotional aspect, mental aspect of them starts to align. And they start to align together, right? Because at the moment they're all separated. And that's why the addiction is there. They're not working together. So, and we help them with that there for sure.
Uh-huh.
How about change? I thought about you immediately about that one. Because when I met you, I would change something quickly and you would just
Yes, I would get very
flustered.
Yes.
So you could talk about this one. So based on this, what was one of your life lessons?
So far, I think, all of these are life lessons for me. I think I chose all of
What addiction
them.
did you have?
Sugars, candies,
Oh God, that is
Sweets.
true. That is true. Okay. So go ahead.
All right, so change. Yes, being willing to change. For me, I think a lot of change was fear of the unknown, and not wanting to go out of my comfort zone, because I liked what was around me that was making me happy, that kept me where I was so that I felt good. And then if you wanted to change something on me, whoa, wait a second. No, you can't do that because that's uncomfortable. That's exactly how it was for me. And to learn to get out of that was to say, you know what? I must learn to be flexible and understand that I have people who will help me around me, because that was another part with change. I was a perfectionist in a lot of things I did too, but it was more so just getting over that fear of what will happen if I do something different.
So now, is that the way someone would know that their life lesson has to do with change and handling change? Where maybe they get flustered when a change comes up unexpectedly?
Right, you don't like doing things out of your comfort zone. You like staying where you are, doing things the way you've always done them.
Right. It's like our son-in-law. Hopefully you'll watch this video. One of them, right? Remember we went to the Cayman Islands, and he's like, well, what's the itinerary? We're like, there is no itinerary. And for him to feel comfortable, we had to come up with an itinerary just to give him something.
Yes.
Because he was just not comfortable just getting
Not
up.
having anything planned.
Not knowing what's going to happen next. And we're like, that's how we do things.
And I used to have all kinds of planners too. I planned everything.
That's right. Well, me, I just get up and say, okay, let's do this. And next thing you know, let's do that. And you guys are like, what?
Wait a second, but I'm going to go do this. No, I have to change that now.
So the thing about change is, remember this, that if you want to grow, what has to happen?
You have to be willing to change.
Otherwise, you'll be in the same place. You'll be stagnant. So growth is about getting out of your comfort zone. Now, here's a secret for you. You have a spiritual team that's there to help you. And the thing about them is, when they see that you're willing to step out of your comfort zone to show that you're willing to change, they're there to support you 100%. So you'll never get hurt because they'll protect you no matter what. So hopefully keep that in mind, right? So the fifth one is envy. And we have to make this one quick.
Oh, okay. Envy, jealousy, constantly comparing yourself to others. I'm not as pretty as she is, or I'm not as smart as that person is. Just constant comparisons and judgment.
Or this person does these things better than I do, right? Or they're moving so quickly. Why am I moving so slowly? They learn so fast, and I'm a slow learner.
Or it can even be with material things. Oh, they have so much more than I do. I want that too.
Or comparing kids.
Yes.
Their kids are smarter than my kids, or things like that, right? And there are many more.
Now, could it go the other way, where you think less of someone? Is that?
Oh, of course. Well, no, because that's not envy.
No, that's not envy.
That's
okay.
not envy. No, that's
All
not
right.
envy at all. So
Okay.
that wouldn't
No.
work. It's only where it's envy, right? Or
Got
let's
it.
say you see that two people get along really well. Well, why could not be myself and my siblings? Why could not be myself and my spouse? The moment
Right.
you do that, then you're comparing, and then of course every time you do that, you're making yourself depressed and angry and stressed. So it doesn't help at all.
Yep.
So how do you deal with that?
learn to love yourself the way you are.
Self-love, right? Learn to accept who you are for who you are, because every one of us is unique. And each one of us, we have a different journey. You know, first of all, you don't even know what that person is going through.
Right.
You know, they might look happy, and they might look like, oh, everything is going really great with them, but you don't know.
It's a facade.
Well, I won't say
For
that.
some people.
See, it's just that they might be going through it. It doesn't have to be a facade. It could just be that they want to attract. Someone could be having a hard time, but then because they understand the law of abundance and the law of attraction, what do they focus on?
They focus
Happiness,
on
joy. So it's not a facade.
Got it.
That's what they want to attract into their lives. So, but then you're looking at that and you're saying, why couldn't I be happy like that and have everything that they have?
But you don't know the rest of the story.
Exactly. And that's why you don't go comparing. That's why you don't go and become envious, because you don't know the full story. But you know your full story. So enjoy yours. Be grateful for yours and keep working on yours. And for everyone that you see, you always send them unconditional love. Be happy for them for what they have. Be happy for them for whatever it is they're enjoying, because they deserved it, they earned it. And you'll earn yours as well.
Okay. All right. We'll see you in part 2. Remember to subscribe and like this video. Join the Facebook group 190 Vision to connect with others on the same journey. Get help by visiting our website 190vision.com. Support the 190 Vision mission by clicking on the donate button, which is at the bottom of each page of our website.